What if the confession we all witnessed was only the first fracture in a dam that has been straining for years? One crack that will inevitably lead to a flood of revelations too staggering to contain. Even now, fans replay Jungkook's trembling words, dissecting every syllable, every pause, every flicker of anguish in his expression. Was it remorse for betraying a confidence? Or was it relief at finally unburdening a secret that had begun to eat away at his conscience? Speculation has only intensified in the hours since the broadcast. Some claim Taehyung has been battling a hidden illness since the early days of BTS, that his frequent disappearances were in fact desperate attempts to seek treatment away from the merciless eyes of the media. Others whisper about an unspoken agreement among the members, a pact to protect Taehyung's privacy even as it slowly consumed them all. But perhaps the most haunting theory is the simplest one, that Taehyung himself never wanted any of us to know. That his absences were acts of silent defiance, his last fragile bastion of control in a life that has never truly belonged to him. And if that is true, then what are we witnessing now? Is this an act of betrayal by Jungkook? Or the ultimate gesture of brotherhood? A risk taken out of love when he realized that silence was no longer an option. As dawn broke over Seoul, reporters staked out the BTS dormitory in the hope of catching even a glimpse of Taehyung. The few staff who emerged declined to speak, their eyes lowered. In the absence of clarity, the vacuum has been filled with rumors, some so outlandish they defy belief, others so plausible they chill the blood. Could it be that Taehyung has been receiving specialized care for a condition the public has never been allowed to suspect? A former entertainment journalist, who spoke to us under strict anonymity, insisted that everyone in the inner circle knows there have been issues, but no one dares put it in writing. It would be career suicide. What kind of issue could inspire that level of fear? Is this a scandal waiting to erupt, or a tragedy in slow motion? Hours after Jungkook's confession, social media erupted with demands for an official statement. Hashtags trended in more than 70 countries as armies demanded the truth and prayed that it would not be as dire as it seems. Yet still, Big Hit remained silent. Some observers noted that Jungkook himself disappeared from public view after the broadcast, fueling speculation that he had been ordered to cease all comment. Was he reprimanded for breaking protocol? Or is he simply grappling with the consequences of a confession he cannot take back? What did he mean when he said, "He's been struggling with something none of you can imagine"? The phrase has been replayed and analyzed so many times that it now seems to echo in every corner of the fandom. Is it physical? Emotional? Something in between? Among the armies, heartbreak mingles with a simmering anger. Many feel betrayed that the truth, or what little of it we now have, was hidden for so long. Others argue that Taehyung deserves the right to privacy, that no one has the right to demand the details of his suffering simply because he is famous. But no matter where you fall in this argument, one fact remains. The confession has changed everything. Longtime followers of BTS remember all too well the countless times Taehyung has vanished, sometimes for days, sometimes for weeks, only to return with a tired smile and carefully chosen words. "I just needed time to think," he would say. Or, "I was recharging." We believed him because we wanted to believe him, because it was easier to imagine a simple need for solitude than to confront the possibility of something unthinkable lurking beneath the surface. But what if every absence was a plea we failed to hear? What if every polite smile was a shield against a darkness we were never meant to see? In one of the most shared clips of the confession, Jungkook appears to bite his lip as if struggling to control a surge of emotion. He didn't want you to see him like that," he whispers. The words have become a rallying cry for armies who feel an almost parental protectiveness toward Taehyung. Yet even as they flood social media with love and support, the fear remains. What exactly was he hiding from us? This question has ignited a wave of speculative reporting. Several tabloids have published unverified claims that Taehyung suffers from a rare neurological condition. Others insist he has been quietly battling depression since before BTS's debut. One outlet even alleged that Taehyung entered a specialized clinic abroad during one of his longer disappearances, a claim no one has confirmed, but that has already spread like wildfire. Could any of this be true? Or is it all a projection of our own fears? our own desperate need to fill the void of information with any story that will make sense of the pain in Jungkook's voice. Industry insiders have begun to wonder whether Jungkook will face repercussions for breaking the silence. In the tightly controlled world of K-pop, public confessions are rare and consequences are swift. Already, there are reports that his management team has canceled several scheduled appearances, citing emotional exhaustion. And what of Taehyung himself? Is he aware that the world is now dissecting his every movement, his every unexplained absence? Has he seen the millions of messages begging him to speak? Or is he somewhere beyond our reach, shielded from this storm of speculation? Perhaps by design, perhaps by necessity, one thing is clear. The confession has opened a door that cannot be closed. As the hours tick by without an official statement, the army grows more restless. Some have pledged to boycott big hit merchandise until the company acknowledges Jungkook's words. Others have organized online vigils, flooding timelines with photos of Taehyung and messages of unwavering support. And through it all, a single question refuses to fade. Is this the real reason Taehyung keeps disappearing? Perhaps it is too soon to know. Perhaps we are all grasping for answers because the alternative, accepting that we may never truly understand, is too painful to bear. But no matter what the coming days reveal, no matter how many statements are issued or retractions published, the confession has done something no scandal, no rumor, no tabloid ever could. It has forced us to see Taehyung not as an untouchable icon, but as a human being, fragile, vulnerable, and heartbreakingly real. And maybe, in the end, that is the greatest shock of all. Stay with us as this story unfolds. Because no matter how many questions remain unanswered, one truth has become impossible to deny. Nothing about BTS will ever be the same again. Have you ever wondered why Kim Taehyung, known worldwide as V of BTS, has vanished again and again without warning, leaving millions of armies desperately searching for answers? Tonight, in an unfolding saga that has gripped every corner of the internet, a single confession from Jungkook threatens to unravel years of carefully kept secrets and ignite a storm of heartbreak, fury, and disbelief. Could this be the revelation that finally explains the most unsettling mystery surrounding Taehyung's vanishing acts? Or is it all a calculated distraction to conceal something far more devastating? As the world gasps at Jungkook's unexpected words, one question refuses to die. What exactly is happening to Taehyung behind the scenes? And why has no one dared to tell the truth until now? In an exclusive live broadcast that drew record-breaking viewership, Jungkook appeared visibly shaken, his voice quivering as he admitted, "I don't know how to keep this inside anymore." He's been struggling with something none of you can imagine. The moment these words left his lips, the studio fell silent. Fans watching from Seoul to Sao Paulo burst into tears, clinging to their screens as if they could will a different answer. But no amount of collective hope could erase the fear in Jungkook's eyes. What could possibly be so severe that even the Golden Magne, the unshakable pillar of BTS, felt compelled to break the code of silence that has surrounded the group for years? Is Taehyung's health in jeopardy? Is there a secret condition he has battled alone? Or could this be the consequence of relentless fame, the invisible scars of an industry that devours its brightest stars one by one? The confession came without warning, disrupting a carefully orchestrated interview that was meant to celebrate BTS's upcoming projects. Insiders claim that producers behind the scenes were frantically gesturing for Jungkook to stop talking. Yet he pressed on, his voice cracking as he continued, "I think everyone deserves to know why he disappears, why he sometimes can't face the cameras." For devoted fans who have charted Taehyung's every move, this admission struck like lightning. For years, speculation has swirled whenever V abruptly stepped out of the spotlight. Some blamed exhaustion. Others insisted it was artistic introspection, a desire to retreat from the glare. But few could have predicted that Jungkook himself would suggest something far darker, a lifelong burden that Taehyung never asked for but can no longer outrun. Could it be that every time Taehyung smiled at a concert, every time he thanked ARMY with that warm, disarming sincerity, he was concealing a torment he believed no one would ever accept? As Twitter erupted in a frenzy of hashtags, #StayStrongTaehyung, #Jungkook Tell Us More, Hashtag what happened to be. One haunting question spread like wildfire. Has Taehyung been living a double life that even his closest allies could no longer deny? Within minutes of the confession, Korean news outlets scrambled to piece together the puzzle. Anonymous sources from Big Hit Entertainment, speaking under the promise of anonymity, claimed that Taehyung's absences have always been deliberate periods of isolation, meant to protect him from intense psychological strain. But these words only deepen the mystery. What kind of strain could be so severe that it required total disappearance? Was it depression? Panic disorder? Or something else so taboo it could not be named aloud? And perhaps the most unsettling possibility, was Jungkook's confession a desperate plea for help that even the company could no longer suppress? International media wasted no time framing the narrative. Headlines screamed, BTS in crisis. Jungkook reveals Taehyung's secret battle, and Taehyung's hidden struggles exposed by Jungkook. Armies demand answers. The story splintered into countless theories. One camp believes Taehyung has been battling a debilitating illness. Another insists he is the victim of unrelenting industry exploitation, forced to vanish when the pressure becomes too much. A smaller, more radical faction claims the truth is even darker, that Taehyung's disappearances coincide with private treatments that have been deliberately concealed to protect BTS's image. Could any of these theories be true? Or is the real story something no one has dared to consider? Tonight, as millions of armies light candles and flood social media with messages of love and solidarity, the question echoes louder than ever. Why did Jungkook choose this moment to tell the world? Did he feel betrayed by those who insisted on secrecy? Was he acting out of loyalty to Taehyung, determined to unburden his friend from years of isolation? Or was this simply the final crack in a dam that could no longer hold back the tide of truth? Observers have pointed out that Taehyung's recent public appearances have been notably brief and controlled, with minimal interaction with fans and the press. In retrospect, some believe the signs were there all along. The moments when he appeared distracted, the subtle tremors in his hands, the way he sometimes stared into the distance as if fighting something no one else could see. Yet even as these fragments are painstakingly reassembled, no clear picture has emerged. And perhaps that is the most chilling aspect of all, because if Jungkook is telling the truth, the real reason Taehyung keeps disappearing is not just heartbreaking. It is something that could change everything fans thought they knew about their idol. Will Big Hit finally issue a statement clarifying the confession? Or will the company retreat into silence, hoping that the world's attention will drift to the next trending controversy? Tonight, that answer remains as elusive as Taehyung himself. But one thing is undeniable. The era of polite speculation is over. Jungkook has shattered the illusion, and now the world is demanding the truth, no matter how painful it might be. And so we are left with a question that no amount of speculation can resolve. Is this the real reason Taehyung keeps disappearing? And if so, what will happen when the world finally learns the whole story? Stay with us as we continue this investigation. The world is watching. And Taehyung, wherever you are tonight, know that you are not alone.